Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more wild tales like this one. Now, have you ever wondered what secrets a simple bottle of oil might hold? I didn't until it happened to me. One minute, I'm rubbing rosemary oil into my hair, thinking it's just a gift for my daughter. The next, my life's unraveling like a bad soap opera, complete with family fights and whispers from beyond. My kids barely speak to me. My grandkids think I'm nuts, and my hair? Oh, it's got a story of its own. Stick around, because this is about to get messy, and you won't believe what's coming next. I never thought a bottle of oil could turn my life upside down, but then again, I never thought my family could be such a handful either. It all kicked off on a day that was supposed to be special, my birthday, or at least the version of it my kids squeezed into their busy schedules. They showed up a week late, arms full of excuses and half-hearted smiles. That's my crew for you. Always running, always distracted, always leaving me wondering where I went wrong. My daughter, Lisa, handed me a little package wrapped in brown paper, tied with twine like something out of a craft fair. "It's for your hair, Mom," she said, her voice clipped like she was reading a script she didn't believe in. I read it's good for thinning hair. Thought it might help. I forced a smile, swallowing the sting. Thinning hair? Sure, I'd noticed it myself. Strands slipping away in the shower, a little less bounce in the mirror, but hearing it from Lisa felt like a jab. Still, I nodded. "Thanks, sweetie. That's real nice of you." She was already glancing at her phone, probably juggling work emails or her kids' schedules. Lisa's a whirlwind. 2 little ones, a job that eats her alive, and a husband who thinks helping means nodding from the couch. I worry about her, but she doesn't let me in long enough to say it. Then there's my son, Mark, sprawled across my sofa like he owns the place. "Happy birthday, Mom," he mumbled, barely looking up from his phone. He's pushing 30, still drifting, new job every 6 months, new girlfriend every other week. I try to talk to him, but he just grins and says, "I've got it under control, Ma." Sure he does. The grandkids, Emma and Jake, were the only ones keeping the energy up, racing around my living room like wild ponies. Emma's 8, all pigtails and sass. Jake 6, with a grin that could melt ice. They're Lisa's, and I adore them, even when they're turning my house into a racetrack. "Grand, catch me," Jake yelled, nearly knocking over a lamp. I laughed despite myself. Those two are my soft spot. We had cake, store-bought, naturally, because it was time to bake, and I opened a few gifts. Mark got me a scarf that looked like he grabbed it last minute at a gas station. My sister sent a gift card. Practical as always. Emma gave me a drawing of me, or maybe a lumpy potato with stick arms. I'm still deciding. I hugged her anyway and stuck it on the fridge. After they all cleared out, I sat at my vanity, picking up Lisa's gift. The bottle was small, dark glass with a handwritten label. Handcrafted rosemary oil. No brand, no fuss, just those words in curly script. I wondered where she'd found it. Some hippy-dippy shop? Online? With Lisa, it could be either. I twisted off the cap and took a whiff. The smell hit me hard, sharp and green, like a forest after a storm, with a strange undercurrent, almost like wet earth. It wasn't bad, just intense. I tipped a few drops onto my fingers and rubbed it into my scalp, working it through my hair. A little tingle started up, like static on a cold day. I figured it was the oil doing its job, waking up my roots or whatever the internet promised. I combed my hair out, capped the bottle, and called it a night. But that night, sleep wasn't so simple. I dreamed I was standing in a field of rosemary, endless rows of it, purple flowers bobbing in the wind. A woman was there, her back to me, dressed in something old-fashioned, like a pioneer's skirt. Her hair was long and gray, spilling down her shoulders. She turned, slow as molasses, and her face, it was like looking at a memory I couldn't grab. She smiled, soft but sad, and whispered something. The words slipped away like smoke, but her voice stuck with me, urgent and heavy. I jolted awake, heart thumping in the dark. The street lamp outside cast stripes across my ceiling, and I sat there, trying to shake the dream off. Who was she? Why did she feel so familiar? I rubbed my eyes, chalking it up to too much birthday cake. Or maybe Lisa's oil had some weird side effects. The next morning, I almost forgot about it. Almost. I was sipping coffee, scrolling through my phone, when Emma called. Well, Lisa's phone, but Emma's voice. Gran, Mom says you're coming to my play tomorrow, right? Wouldn't miss it, kiddo, I said, grinning. What's your part? I'm a tree, she announced, proud as anything. I get to wave my branches. I laughed. Best tree ever, I bet. Tell your mom I'll be there. She's yelling at Jake right now, Emma whispered, like it was a secret. He spilled juice on the dog. I sighed. Typical Lisa. Always one crisis away from a meltdown. Tell her to take a breath for me, okay? Emma giggled and hung up. I shook my head, picturing the chaos over there. My family's a mess, but they're mine. Still, as I ran my fingers through my hair, that tingle came back, sharper this time. I glanced at the rosemary oil on my vanity, sitting there all innocent-like. Something about it nagged at me, but I brushed it off. Probably just my imagination running wild. If I'd known then what that little bottle was about to stir up, I might have tossed it out the window. But I didn't. Instead, I grabbed my comb and started brushing, and that's when I heard it. A whisper, faint as a breeze, right by my ear. Marjorie. I froze, comb halfway through my hair. The room was dead quiet, but that voice, it was real. I whipped around, expecting Lisa or Mark playing a prank, but no one was there. Just me, my reflection, and a chill I couldn't explain. That's when I realized this wasn't just about hair anymore. Something, or someone, was waking up, and it had my name on its lips. I've never been one for school plays. All those parents crammed into a stuffy auditorium, pretending their kid's the next big star while secretly checking their watches. But for Emma, I'd sit through anything. She was my little tree, after all, and I'd promised her I'd be there, front and center. So there I was, wedged between a mom who smelled like too much perfume and a dad who kept coughing into his sleeve. The things we do for love. Lisa was already there when I arrived, sitting stiff as a board in the second row, her eyes glued to her phone. I slid into the seat next to her, trying to catch her eye, but she didn't even glance up. Hey, hon, I said, keeping my voice light. How's it going? Fine, she muttered, thumbs flying over the screen. Just trying to get this email out before the play starts. I bit back a sigh. Always working, always stressed. I wanted to tell her to relax, to enjoy the moment, but I knew better. Lisa's been wound tight since she was a teenager. Probably got it from me, if I'm honest. Emma's gonna be great, I said instead, hoping to steer us towards something positive. Yeah, Lisa replied, finally looking up. Her eyes flicked to my hair, and I swear I saw her nose wrinkle. You're still using that oil, huh? I touched my hair self-consciously. Well, yeah, you gave it to me, remember? She shrugged. Just thought it might help. You know, with the thinning. There was again that little jab like a splinter under my skin. I forced a smile. It's nice. Smells strong, though. Where'd you get it? Some shop downtown, she said vaguely, already turning back to her phone. They said it was handmade. I wanted to ask more which shop. Handmade by who? But the lights dimmed, and the play started. Kids shuffled onto the stage, dressed as animals and trees and whatever else the teacher had dreamed up. Emma stood tall in the back, her arms spread wide like branches, a big grin on her face. I couldn't help but smile back, even if she couldn't see me. Halfway through the play, though, something shifted. The air felt thicker, heavier, like a storm was brewing inside the auditorium. I rubbed my arms, trying to shake off the chill, but it clung to me like a wet blanket. And then I heard it, faint at first, just a murmur beneath the kids' voices. Marjorie. I froze, my heart skipping a beat. The whisper was back, closer this time, like someone was leaning over my shoulder. I whipped my head around, half expecting to see someone behind me, but there was nothing, just the same coughing dad and the perfume mom, both focused on the stage. It's time. The voice was clearer now, low and insistent, sending a shiver down my spine. I gripped the edge of my seat, my knuckles white. Time for what? I wanted to scream, but I couldn't, Not here, not with Lisa sitting right next to me, already side-eyeing me like I was losing it. "You okay, Mom?" she whispered, her brow furrowed. I nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah, just a little chilly in here." She didn't look convinced, but she turned back to the play, and I tried to do the same. Emma was waving her branches like a pro, bless her, but I couldn't focus. That whisper, it was like a hook in my brain, pulling me somewhere I didn't want to go. After the play, we all gathered in the lobby for punch and cookies. Emma came bounding over, her face flushed with excitement. "Gran, did you see me? I was the best tree." I laughed, pulling her into a hug. "You were amazing, kiddo. The most convincing tree I've ever seen." She beamed, then wrinkled her nose. "You smell funny, Gran. Like dirt and stuff." I blinked, caught off guard. "It's just the rosemary oil, sweetie. Your mom gave it to me." Emma tilted her head, her pigtails bouncing. "It's weird. Last time you used it, I saw something shiny in your hair. Like a little light." My stomach flipped. "A light?" "Yeah, like a tiny star or something. But it was gone real fast." She shrugged, already distracted by the cookie table. "Can I have one, Mom?" Lisa nodded absently, her eyes scanning the room for Jake, who was probably off causing trouble somewhere. I stood there, Emma's words echoing in my head. A tiny star in my hair? What on earth did that mean? I turned to Lisa, trying to keep my voice casual. "Hey, about that oil. Where exactly did you get it? I'm thinking of buying some more." She frowned, finally giving me her full attention.
"Why?"
"You don't like it?" No, it's great. Just curious. You said it was from a shop downtown." "Yeah, that little place near the bookstore. They sell all kinds of homemade stuff, candles, soaps, that kind of thing." "Why are you so interested?" I hesitated, not sure how much to say. "It's just, I've been having these weird dreams since I started using it." And Emma said she saw something in my hair. Lisa rolled her eyes. "Mom, don't start. It's just oil. Probably some organic mumbo-jumbo. And Emma's got an imagination bigger than the sky. You know that." I wanted to argue, to tell her about the whisper, the chill, the way the oil seemed to hum with a life of its own. But I knew how it would sound, crazy, paranoid, like I was grasping for attention. So I just nodded. "You're right. Probably nothing." But deep down, I knew it wasn't nothing. Something was happening, something tied to that little bottle, and I needed to find out what. That night, after everyone had gone home, I sat at my vanity, staring at the rosemary oil. The bottle looked innocent enough, just dark glass and a handwritten label, like Lisa said. But when I picked it up, it felt warm, almost pulsing in my hand. I unscrewed the cap and took a deep sniff, letting the sharp scent fill my lungs. There was again that undercurrent of wet earth, like something buried deep. I was about to put it down when I noticed something odd. The label was peeling at one corner, like it had been glued on in a hurry. I tugged at it gently, and to my surprise, it lifted away, revealing a small piece of paper tucked underneath. My heart raced as I unfolded it. The paper was old, yellowed with age, and the ink was faded, but I could still make out the words. "Use with care. The spirit within awakens with each drop." I stared at the note, my mouth dry. Spirit? What spirit? Was this some kind of joke? A warning? I turned the bottle over in my hands, looking for more clues, but there was nothing else. Just the oil, dark and thick, swirling inside the glass. And then, as if on cue, I heard it again. That whisper, soft and insistent. "Marjorie, it's time." I dropped the bottle onto the vanity, my hands shaking. This wasn't just my imagination. Something was in that oil, something alive, and it was calling my name. I didn't know what it wanted, but I had a sinking feeling I was about to find out whether I liked it or not. I couldn't stop thinking about that note. Use with care. The spirit within awakens with each drop. It sounded like something from the ghost stories my grandma used to tell, half thrilling, half absurd. But this wasn't a story. This was real, and that whisper calling my name wasn't my imagination. I needed answers, and the only place I could think to start was the shop where Lisa bought the oil. The next morning, I drove downtown, my mind racing with questions. The shop, Mystic Curios and Crafts, was squeezed between a bookstore and a cafe, its faded sign almost hidden under a layer of dust. I'd passed it countless times, but never stepped inside. It always seemed too quirky for me, with its crystals and tarot cards. Today, though, I had no choice. I pushed the door open, and a soft jingle from the bell greeted me. The air inside was heavy with incense, sandalwood, I thought, with a sharp hint of sage. Shelves stretched to the ceiling, stuffed with jars of herbs, colorful candles, and trinkets that glinted in the dim light. A few flickering lamps and the weak sunlight filtering through dusty windows were all that illuminated the place. An older woman sat behind the counter, her silver hair pulled into a loose bun, her sharp eyes peering over a book. She looked up as I approached, her gaze lingering on my hair for a moment too long. "Can I help you, dear?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. I cleared my throat, feeling a little silly. "Hi, my daughter bought me some rosemary oil from here a while back. I was hoping you could tell me more about it." She tilted her head, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "Rosemary oil?
We sell a few kinds.
Do you have the bottle with you?" "No," I said, shaking my head. But it was in a dark glass bottle with a handwritten label. Just said, "Handcrafted rosemary oil." Her smile grew, though her eyes stayed cool.
Yes.
That one special, made by a local herbalist, very talented, very intuitive. Intuitive? I asked, shifting my weight. "What do you mean?" She leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Some say her oils carry a bit of extra energy. A touch of the old ways, if you catch my drift." I didn't, but I nodded anyway. "Look, this might sound crazy, but ever since I started using it, strange things have been happening. I've been hearing whispers, and I found a note under the label that said something about a spirit awakening." Her eyes sparked with curiosity, but she didn't flinch. "A note, you say? That's unusual. Most of our products don't come with instructions." "It wasn't instructions," I said, my frustration bubbling up. "It was a warning. Use with care. The spirit within awakens with each drop." "What does that mean?" She studied me for a long moment before sighing. "Sometimes objects, especially those made with intention, carry echoes of the past. Memories, emotions, even spirits. Rosemary's tied to memory and protection, but if it's been infused with something more, that could explain what you're experiencing." I stared at her, my mouth dry. "So you're saying there's a spirit in my hair oil?" She chuckled, a soft, warm sound. "Not in the oil itself, dear. More like attached to it, waiting for the right person to notice." My stomach twisted. "And that person is me?" "Perhaps." She shrugged, casual, as if we were chatting about the weather. "Or maybe it's just your imagination. Hard to say." I wanted to shake her for answers. "Is there any way to stop it? Make the whispers go away?" She tapped her chin, thoughtful. "You could cleanse the bottle, sage, salt, that sort of thing. Or just stop using it." But her eyes gleamed. "Aren't you curious? Don't you want to know what it wants?" I hadn't considered that. Part of me did want to know, desperately, but the sensible part just wanted normalcy. "I don't know," I admitted. "It's scaring me." Her expression softened. "That's fair. If you'd like, bring the bottle by. I could take a look, maybe sense something." I hesitated. The bottle was at home, sitting on my vanity like a loaded gun. "I'll think about it," I said. "Thanks for your help." As I turned to go, she called out, "Be careful, Marjorie. Some doors, once opened, are hard to close." I froze, my hand on the doorknob. How did you know my name?" She smiled that knowing smile again. "You look like a Marjorie. Have a good day, dear." I stumbled outside, the bright street feeling jarring after the shop's dim glow. My heart raced. I needed to talk to someone who wouldn't think I was nuts. Lisa would scoff, Mark would shrug it off, and my friends would laugh. Then I remembered Emma's words. "I saw something shiny in your hair, like a little light." Maybe she'd seen something real. I drove to Lisa's house, hoping to catch Emma before dinner. The front door was ajar, and I heard Lisa's voice, sharp with irritation. Jake, I swear, if you don't put that down. I stepped inside. Hello? It's just me. Lisa appeared in the hallway, her face flushed. Mom, what are you doing here? I wanted to talk to Emma, I said, keeping my tone light. Is she around? She's in her room, Lisa said, frowning. But she's supposed to be doing homework. Can it wait? It's important, I pressed. Just a quick chat. Lisa sighed, waving me toward the stairs. Fine, but make it fast. Dinner's almost ready. I knocked on Emma's door. Emma? It's Gran. Can I come in? Sure, she chirped. Inside, Emma sat at her desk, surrounded by crayons and paper. She grinned up at me. Hi, Gran. Want to see my drawing? Of course, I said, sitting on her bed. But first, I wanted to ask you something. Remember when you said you saw a light in my hair? She nodded, eyes wide. Yeah, it was sparkly, like a fairy or something. My pulse quickened. Can you tell me more? What did it look like? She scrunched her nose, thinking. It was small, like a tiny star, and it was moving around in your hair. But when I blinked, it was gone. Has it happened again? I asked. Nope, just that one time. Why, Gran? Is it magic? I forced a laugh. Maybe. Or maybe it's just the oil making my hair shiny. Emma tilted her head, unconvinced. You look scared, Gran. Is something wrong? How do you explain this to an 8-year-old? I've been hearing things, I said carefully, like whispers, and I think it might be connected to the oil. Her eyes lit up. Like a ghost? That's cool. Not really, I said, smiling despite myself. It's a little creepy. Maybe it's a friendly ghost, she offered. Like Casper. He's nice. I chuckled. Maybe. But I'd rather not have any ghosts, friendly or not. Emma shrugged. Well, if you want, I can help you look for it. I'm good at finding things. I ruffled her hair. Thanks, kiddo. I'll keep that in mind. As I stood to leave, she added, Gran, be careful. Mom says ghosts can be tricky. I paused. What else does Mom say? Emma giggled. That you're probably imagining things. But I believe you. Her faith warmed me, even as it sent a shiver down my spine. If only Lisa could be that open. Downstairs, Lisa was setting the table with brisk efficiency. Did you get what you needed? She asked, not looking up. Yeah, I said, watching her. Emma's a smart kid. She's something, all right, Lisa muttered. Now, if I could get her to focus on math. I wanted to tell her everything. The shop, the note, the whispers, but I knew she'd dismiss it. So I just nodded. I'll let you get back to it. Thanks for letting me talk to her. Driving home, the sky darkened with heavy clouds. A storm was brewing, and I couldn't shake the feeling it was more than weather. The whispers had been quiet today, but they'd return. I had to be ready. That night, I sat at my vanity, the Rosemary Oil bottle before me. I hadn't used it since finding the note, but curiosity gnawed at me. What if I tried again? What if I spoke to whatever was inside? I unscrewed the cap and dabbed a drop onto my finger. The oil felt warm, almost alive, as I rubbed it into my scalp. The air thickened, the room growing still except for my breathing. Then, faint as a breeze, the whisper came. Marjorie, listen. I squeezed my eyes shut, heart pounding. Who are you? I whispered. What do you want? The voice sharpened, urgent. The truth buried, find it. Find what? I asked, trembling. What truth? But the whisper faded, leaving silence. I opened my eyes, staring at my reflection. My hair looked the same, but I felt changed, like a door had opened, and there was no going back. I didn't know what truth the spirit meant, but I suspected it was tied to my family, to secrets we'd buried. And if I didn't uncover it soon, something bad was coming. I couldn't shake the feeling that the spirit's message was urgent, and I had to act fast. The whisper echoed in my mind. The truth buried, find it. What truth? And where was it buried? I needed answers, and the only place I could think to start was in the past, my family's past. Determined, I headed to the attic, a place I hadn't visited in years. The narrow staircase creaked under my weight as I climbed, and the air grew mustier with each step. At the top, I pushed open the door, and a cloud of dust greeted me, making me sneeze. The attic was a maze of boxes, old furniture, and forgotten memories. Sunlight filtered through a small, grimy window, casting eerie shadows on the walls. I took a deep breath and began my search. I started with a box labeled photos. Inside were stacks of old family albums, their pages yellowed with age. I sat on an old trunk and began flipping through them, reminiscing about simpler times. There were pictures of me as a child, playing with my sister Susan, our parents beaming in the background. Birthday parties, holidays, school events, snapshots of a life that felt like a distant dream now. Then I came across a photo that made me pause. It was a group picture, likely from a family reunion. Among the familiar faces was a young woman I didn't recognize. She had long, dark hair and a sad smile that seemed to pierce through the faded image. Who was she? I turned the photo over, hoping for a name or date, but it was blank. Frowning, I set it aside and dug deeper. In another album, I found more pictures of her, always lingering in the background, never the focus. It was as if she belonged to the family, but was somehow apart from it. Curiosity gnawed at me. I grabbed my phone and dialed Susan's number. After a few rings, her cheerful voice answered. "Hey, sis, it's Marjorie. Marjorie, how are you? I haven't heard from you in ages." "I'm okay, I was going through some old photos and found something odd. There's a woman in them, long dark hair, sad smile. Do you know who she is?"
A pause stretched across the line.
I'm not sure. Can you describe her more? She's always in the background, like she's part of the family, but not really. Another pause. Wait, do you mean Clara? Clara? Who's Clara? Susan sighed, her tone shifting. Clara was our cousin. She died when we were teenagers. It was a long time ago. Died?
How?
It was an accident, I think. She fell from a tree or something. I don't remember the details. Why are you asking about her now? I hesitated. Telling her about the spirit would sound insane. I just found these photos and got curious. What was she like? She was quiet, kept to herself. I didn't know her well. After she died, the family didn't talk about it much. It was a painful time. Was there more to it? Like, any suspicion about her death? Silence again. Why would you ask that? Just a hunch. Well, there were rumors, but nothing solid. Some thought it might not have been an accident, but it's just gossip. Look, Marjorie, it's better to let sleeping dogs lie. No point digging up the past. But what if there's something unresolved? Like what?
It was decades ago.
Everyone involved is long gone or moved on. Why are you so interested? I've been feeling things lately, and I think it might tie back to Clara. Feeling things? Like what? Forget it. Probably nothing. Thanks, Susan. Wait, are you okay? You sound off. I'm fine, just nostalgic. Talk soon. I hung up, my mind spinning. A cousin named Clara, dead under mysterious circumstances, hushed up by the family. Could this be the truth the spirit wanted me to uncover? The front door creaked open downstairs. Mom? You home? It was Lisa. I scooped up the photos and hurried down. She was in the living room, eyeing the mess I'd left on the table. What's all this? She asked, picking up a photo. Just old family pictures. Feeling sentimental. She studied the one of Clara. Who's this? That's Clara, our cousin. She died when I was young. Lisa's face tightened. Why are you looking at pictures of dead relatives? That's creepy. I was curious. Susan told me about her. Susan? You called Aunt Susan about this? Yeah, why? Lisa dropped the photo, her voice sharp. Mom, why are you digging into this? It's none of your business. None of my business? It's my family too. It's in the past. Why drag it up now? You're always meddling where you shouldn't. Meddling? I'm trying to figure something out. For who? Yourself? You're just stirring up trouble for no reason. My temper flared. You don't get it. There's more going on here. Then explain it. I almost blurted out the truth about the spirit, but stopped. She'd never believe me. Forget it. It's nothing. Lisa shook her head. You always do this. Obsess over something and refuse to drop it, even when it's pointless. That's not fair. I'm just…
What?
Fixing things? Controlling things? Newsflash, Mom. Not everything needs your touch, and you can't fix the past. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I stood there, fuming and stung, but her words didn't shake my resolve. Lisa didn't understand, but I had to keep going for Clara, for the spirit, for myself. That night, I sat in my vanity, staring at the rosemary oil. I needed guidance. I uncapped the bottle, dabbed a drop into my hair, and closed my eyes, waiting. A faint whisper slipped through the silence. The diary, in the old oak chest. My eyes snapped open. A diary? In an oak chest? My grandmother's old chest in the attic sprang to mind. I never bothered opening it, assuming it held moth-eaten clothes or blankets. Heart racing, I returned to the attic. The chest sat in a corner, draped in a dusty sheet. I yanked the sheet off and knelt beside it, hands trembling as I lifted the lid. Inside were old garments, but beneath them, I found a small, leather-bound book. A diary. I lifted it, pulse pounding. This could unlock Clara's truth. As I opened it, a photograph slipped out and fluttered to the floor. I picked it up and gasped. It was Clara, smiling beside a young man, his arm around her. They looked happy, alive. On the back, in faded ink, was scrawled, Clara and James, 1965. Who was James? And what did he have to do with Clara's death? I clutched the diary, determination surging. Whatever my family thought, I had to find out. The diary felt heavy in my hands, like it held more than just words. I sat on the attic floor, the dim light barely illuminating the faded pages. Clara's handwriting was neat, almost too perfect, as if she'd taken her time with each entry. I flipped to the first page, dated June 12th, 1965. Today, I met James. He's different from the boys around here, kind, thoughtful, and he listens. We talked for hours by the lake, and I think I'm falling for him. I smiled, imagining Clara as a young woman in love. But as I read on, the entries grew darker. James wasn't just any boy. He was from a rival family, one that had feuded with ours for generations. Their love was forbidden, and Clara knew it. July 3rd, 1965. James wants to run away together, but I'm scared. If my parents find out, they'll never forgive me. But I can't live without him. My heart ached for her. I'd heard stories of the old family feud, but I never knew it had torn lives apart. I kept reading, hoping for a happy ending, but the entry stopped abruptly on August 15th, 1965. August 15th, 1965. I'm meeting James tonight. I've made up my mind. We're leaving this town for good. I just hope no one follows us. That was the last entry. I knew what came next. Clara's death, the accident that wasn't an accident. But who was responsible?
And why?
I needed to find James. If he was still alive, he might hold the key to Clara's fate.
But how?
I didn't even know his last name. Then, I remembered the photo. I pulled it out and studied it again. Clara and James, smiling, carefree. On the back, in the same faded ink, was a tiny inscription I'd missed before. James Harper.
Harper.
That name rang a bell. There was a Harper family in town, but they'd moved away years ago. Maybe someone knew where they'd gone. I decided to visit my old friend, Mrs. Jenkins, the town historian. If anyone knew about the Harpers, it was her. The next morning, I drove to her house, the diary tucked safely in my bag. Mrs. Jenkins welcomed me with a warm smile and a cup of tea. "Marjorie, dear, what brings you here?" she asked, her eyes twinkling with curiosity. "I'm looking for information about the Harper family, specifically a man named James Harper. He was around in the 1960s. Mrs. Jenkins's smile faded. "Ah, the Harpers. A tragic story, that one. James was a good boy, but he got caught up in that awful feud. What happened to him?" "He left town after Clara's death. Couldn't bear the guilt, I suppose. Last I heard, he moved to the city, started a new life. But that was decades ago. Do you know if he's still alive? She shook her head. I'm afraid not. He passed away a few years back. But his son, Michael, still lives in the city. He might know something. My heart leaped. Do you have his contact information? I'll see what I can find. After some digging, Mrs. Jenkins handed me a phone number. I thanked her and left, my mind racing. I had to call Michael Harper. That afternoon, I dialed the number, my hands trembling. A deep voice answered. Hello? Hi, is this Michael Harper? Yes, who's this? My name is Marjorie. I'm Clara's cousin. I found her diary, and I think there's more to her death than we were told. I was hoping you could help me. There was a long pause. Clara, my father never stopped talking about her. He always said her death wasn't an accident. My breath caught. What did he say? He believed someone from your family found out about their plan to run away and intervened. He never knew who, but he suspected it was Clara's brother, Thomas. Thomas? My uncle Thomas? He died when I was a child, but I remembered him as a stern, quiet man. Could he have been involved? Did your father have any proof? No, just suspicion. He was devastated when Clara died. He blamed himself for not protecting her. I'm so sorry, I said, my voice soft. I think Clara's spirit is trying to reach out to reveal the truth. Spirit? Michael sounded skeptical. I know it sounds crazy, but I've been experiencing strange things since I started using this rosemary oil. It's like she's guiding me to uncover what happened. There was another pause. My father always said Clara loved rosemary. She used to make oil from it, said it helped her remember things. My heart skipped a beat. Wait, Clara made rosemary oil? Yes, she was quite the herbalist. She believed it had special properties. Suddenly, it all made sense. The oil Lisa bought must have been made from Clara's recipe, or perhaps it was even Clara's own creation, passed down through the years. Michael, I think Clara's spirit is attached to the oil. She wants the truth to come out. If that's true, then maybe it's time. My father kept a box of Clara's things, letters, photos, that sort of thing. Maybe there's something in there that can help. Can I see it? I'll bring it to you. I've always wanted to know the truth myself. 2 days later, Michael arrived at my house with a small wooden box. Inside were letters, dried flowers, and a small vial of rosemary oil, identical to the one Lisa had given me. I opened one of the letters, dated August 14th, 1965. My dearest James, I can't wait to start our new life together. But I'm scared. Thomas has been acting strange, asking too many questions. I think he knows. Please be careful tomorrow night. I love you. My stomach churned. Thomas did know. And the next day, Clara was dead. I looked up at Michael, his face somber. This suggests Thomas was involved. He nodded. It seems so, but we need more proof. I thought for a moment. Maybe the spirit can help. If I use the oil, perhaps Clara can guide me to the final piece of the puzzle. Michael looked uneasy, but agreed. Just be careful. That night, I sat at my vanity, the vial of Clara's rosemary oil before me. I dabbed a drop into my hair and closed my eyes, waiting. The whisper came, clearer than ever. The tree by the lake, dig. My eyes snapped open. The tree by the lake, where Clara and James used to meet. I knew the spot. The next morning, I drove to the lake, shovel in hand. The old oak tree stood tall, its branches swaying in the breeze. I began digging at its base, sweat beading on my forehead. After what felt like hours, my shovel hit something hard. I dropped to my knees and brushed away the dirt, revealing a small metal box. Inside was a letter, yellowed with age. I unfolded it, my hands shaking. It was from Thomas, dated August 16th, 1965. I did what I had to do. Clara was going to ruin everything. I couldn't let her run off with that Harper boy. It was an accident, but maybe it's for the best. The family honor is intact. Tears stung my eyes. Thomas had killed Clara, covered it up, and lived with the guilt. And Clara's spirit had been trapped, waiting for someone to uncover the truth. I took the letter to the police, who reopened the case. Though Thomas was long gone, the truth finally came to light. Clara's death was ruled a homicide, and her name was cleared of the accident stigma. As for the spirit, the whispers stopped. I like to think Clara found peace, knowing her story was finally told. My family was shocked by the revelation, but it brought us closer. Lisa apologized for dismissing my concerns, and we started talking more openly. Even Mark seemed more grounded, less adrift. And the rosemary oil? I kept it, but I never used it again. It sits on my vanity, a reminder of the past and the power of truth. Sometimes, when the wind blows just right, I swear I can smell rosemary in the air, and I smile, knowing Clara is at peace.